banjos. But I think that the electric vintage market really basically did not exist until about 1965, at about the time when players like Mike Bloomfield and Eric Clapton really appeared on the scene playing electrically. Now, my own personal opinion is that in the United States, certainly in the Midwest, where I was at the time in Chicago, that Bloomfield was the most influential player of them all. Insofar as not selling records, but selling guitars. There's a big difference between selling records and selling guitars. There are some artists who sell millions of records, but guitar players don't necessarily look up to them. Like Elvis Presley, for example, used a guitar as a stage prop, but very few guitar players really care that much what kind of guitar Elvis played. If you have a genuine Elvis-owned guitar, that'll bring a lot of money on today's market, but it will bring it not as a guitar, but as an Elvis collectible, and it doesn't translate into that model in general. But Bloomfield was really a phenomenon unto himself. When he first started playing electric guitar with the Butterfield Blues Band, he used a 52 Tele, and I saw those things go from about $75 right on up to about $600 almost overnight. And this period, like 64 and 5, $600 for a guitar was a big amount of money. There wasn't much in the way of new guitars that cost that much. I knew Bloomfield from before the time he even played electric. When I first met him, he played acoustic blues only. When he switched to electric, that was quite a thing. Then he switched from playing that Telecaster to playing a 1954 Les Paul Standard Gold Top. And the Teles went down almost overnight, and the 54 type Les Pauls went from $75 to about $800 in a matter of just a few months. And I would have to attribute that to Bloomfield and his enormous impact. In fact, at that time, people were commenting that these Les Pauls were just wonderful, and that they couldn't understand why Gibson had switched later to those humbucking pickups, which had a sort of sickly, sweet, syrupy sound, and the tunematic bridge, which, even though it might have given good intonation, supposedly killed sustain and didn't give the tone of the old stud bridge. In fact, at that time, occasionally, I would find one of these guitars that had this cherry red and yellow Sunburst finish and these metal-covered humbucking pickups, and dealers would tell me, George, you found the wrong color guitar, it's got the wrong pickups, it's the wrong this, we could give you $600 for it if it was gold, but only $250 for this version. Now, today, of course, it's the other way around. In fact, a short time later, Bloomfield switched, and he got a Sunburst Les Paul. And within a matter of just a couple of months, those went from cheap to expensive. The gold tops went down in price, and the very same people who told me that the gold tops had the better pickup and the better bridge couldn't recall having ever said that. So I think that Bloomfield was one of the most influential players that the 60s saw. He never had a hit record, but guitar players idolized him. Now, I've heard others say that it was Clapton who popularized the Les Paul, but to my knowledge, Clapton didn't ever play a gold top first and then a Sunburst, but I clearly saw the market go from gold tops to Sunbursts, and every time Bloomfield switched from one thing to another, the market followed lockstep right behind him with no more than about a 30-day lag time.
So that means that, in a way, collectors, especially those who are doing it for investment purposes,